everyone, this is Ilina and welcome to another LDRS creative card making video. For today's video, we're going to use a couple of new products from the newest release that came out just a few weeks ago. I'll be using the Cosmos stamp set coordinating dies and coordinating layering stencils. On the back of the packaging, you can see you have a guide how to use the stencils in which order to have very fun and layered look for your flowers. So we're going to start with the stencils, and also at the end I'll be using the delicate stitch scallop rectangles die set. So here I'm using a half letter sheet of white cardstock, and I position that in my stamping tool. I have a sticky mat on the bottom, and with a magnet I'm just holding the stencil. I find it also easier that if I use kind of straight corner, um, like here in my stamp positioning tool, you can use any other straight corner you have. Those layers, the stencil layers perfectly. So for the first layer, I use banana cream pie. Next, I'm going with tangerine, and I'm adding that second layer. So those were the stencil 1A and 1B. Next, I'm going with 2A. Actually, here I used the 2B by mistake, but you will see that it does not really matter. We're going to swap it around, and then we're going to go back again with this same layer in just a second. So I'm adding here Fandango. Okay, so here I realized where I made the mistake, so I'm going with the 2A stencil, and I'm applying the same Fandango ink color. And then for the second layer, I will use the Boysenberry Blast. I could have left it like this. You can see the layers, but I just wanted to add a little bit more depth to that second layer. So okay, next we're going with the next stencil. So here this will be multicolored since we're adding the third layer and the first layer for the leaves. So I'm using In Your Face Orange for the smaller cosmos flowers, and I'm using a scrap piece of paper to mask a little bit. Since I'm using the blending brush, if you use a smaller, this won't be probably an issue. So you can either use a scrap piece of paper to mask it, or just use a smaller brush for blending, or any other blending tool. Okay, this was olive branch, and now I'm going with grape ape to add the deepest purple color to the flowers. And you don't need to have a perfect coverage, because those are flowers, and they'll look even more natural, even more realistic if the color is not even. Okay, so let's do the last stencil. This should add darker to the leaves. However, I made the first layer darker. So here I'm going with prickly pear perfection, and then I will add more of the olive branch. If you notice here, I had two mess ups, but they're fixable. We can easily fix those, and you will see that at the end, the image, when we stamp the flower image on top, it will look just perfect. Okay, so we have stenciled our images. Now I'm positioning the stamps on top, lining it up, and picking it up with the door of my stamping tool. So this, I like to stamp the image at the end once I've stenciled everything. This way it prevents from not having to wait for that black ink to dry and have smears. This way the colors are still nice and crisp and bright. I'm using the new stampendable white tool. I'm gonna stamp a couple times using the Raven hybrid ink. Here, let's do one more time for better coverage. I really like my images to have very saturated black outline. Okay, I think this looks great. Now let's do the sentiments. Since I have space here, I will stamp them here, and I'll stamp all three of them, all the three of the sentiments that come in the stamp set. Also, they have coordinating dies, and I will die cut everything at once. This way I'll have some extra sentiments for some future cards. Also, we're gonna use just one of the flower images, and we're gonna save the second one for later use. It's okay, that looks great. Now I'm using the coordinating dies. I'm positioning them and just using some repositionable tape to secure them in place. I will do the same with all of the sentiments and images on this piece of white cardstock. Just adding little pieces on the sides. The sentiments, we have one more image and one more sentiment there. And just in a second, by magic of YouTube, we'll have everything die cut. So here are die cuts. Next, I die cut the smaller frame, once from black and two times from white cardstock. And those are the delicate stitched scallop rectangles dies. So I'm stacking those up. First the two layers of white cardstock, and then on top I'll add the black layer. This one will give the frame a little bit more sturdiness and also dimension, but we'll also use foam tape to add that to our panel. I have here a pre-cut panel from white cardstock that measures 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm just positioning to see if I like the arrangement. So I'm adding first the image directly onto that white panel, and I'm using liquid adhesive. And next I will add the frame on top. I want the frame to have a little bit more dimension than just like the two stacked pieces of white cardstock on the back. So I'm adding some thin foam strips on the back to add dimension. I removed the adhesive backing, and I'm adding some liquid adhesive to give me with more flexibility when I put that down, so I make sure that it's nice and straight. Now we just need to add a sentiment. I'm using the leftover of the sticky foam strips to the back of that sentiment for added dimension. Again, using some liquid glue on the back, I will add that to my panel. Okay, so now on back of that entire panel, I'll add a piece of scrap white cardstock. Actually, this is leftover from like stamp packaging. I usually cut those to about 4 by 5 1/4, and I save them to add sturdiness to my card between the stamp panel and my card base. And no one will ever notice that that's not really just a white cardstock, but it's something that we're recycling. So now to finish the card, I'm adding some enamel embellishment to add a little bit more interest. And that's our card for today. Thanks you so much for stopping by and watching this video. And don't forget to visit our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and visit our blog for more ideas and more inspiration. Thanks for watching. Bye!